You're such an asshole.
We got an interesting question that old man Rollo kind of faces this too, philosophically speaking. Perhaps not as bad as me, definitely not as bad as you, but there is going to be a subsegment within our listening audience who actually heed what we're telling you boys to do, and you do it, and you're like way on the other. Most of them, yeah, dude, F women, bro. Yeah, I'm going to get up to level 75 on this dork game. But then there's some people like, yeah, I do want to achieve excellence, but then you get into this mode, you get into this environment, this mentality. And if you're in there long enough, also you don't know anything else. And then you're like, well, what do I do for fun? I'm like, if you answer that, I'll be impressed. Dear Mr. Anti-Pay $700 a month penis extended pickup tray. I was wondering if you had any general philosophical advice for taming an extremist obsessive personality. To give you some context, I have the tendency to want to do several things at full capacity at the same time. Nothing wrong with that. Just like yourself, I have a sense of awareness that life is short and want to live it to the fullest, but as a consequence of taking that to an extreme level where I'm constantly going full throttle all the time, I end up burning the candle at both ends. For example, as I'm currently going to school to study electrical engineering and working part-time as a landscaper, I'm also trying to compete in jiu-jitsu competitions, surf on a regular basis, lift weights, learn Spanish, and I also have a girlfriend, which requires a certain amount of work, as you know. I saw her. Nice cans, man. Good for you. The girl then needs the attentions. I also let me write one more thing down. There we go. All right. Also, I hunt, which requires a bit of work during the off season, comprising of food plotting, setting up deer stands, etc. I'm very blessed to have the physical capability and accessibility to do all these things, but my issue is I don't know how to take a step back or dial it down when I need to. This has led me to develop thyroid issues in the past, being prescribed sleeping meds. Okay, yeah, now it's a problem because it's one thing if it's philosophical or mental issues you wrestle with, which are not, it's not bad. Life is supposed to have problems, not just in the physical world, but the mental and psychological world. But when it starts to have physical symptoms, yeah, your whole, at least the underlying premise by which you're doing this is you're worried about death, right? That's your main motivator, which is a damn good motivator. You're accelerating the death closer to you by sacrificing your health. Part of it is to extend your life as much as possible. And if you do too much, you will stress yourself out. I can't imagine what your cortisol levels are like. I know what I need to do in order to turn my health around, and that is to dial it down a bit. Okay, there. Now do it. I know it's how do I lose weight? How do I quit smoking? How do I quit drugs? Stop doing it. Stop. If you don't, you're not going to die, but you're going to shorten your life, and I'll get to it later, but you're lessening your life. You're not maxing out your life right now. You're maxing your achievement out. There's nothing wrong with that, especially if it's like, okay, we're going to hit the afterburners. That's what I did in college. We're going to hit the afterburners for a short period of time. In my case, 3.5 years. That's going to get us into orbit. Then we could back off. We could coast for the rest of the time. That didn't happen. So, but the point, there's still some, give it the old college try, burn the midnight oil, get it done quick, early, and then we could kind of relax a little bit. That's fine, but if all of a sudden your engine lights start going on, what was it, Top Gun, the latest one where the warning lights go on, you're going to break up. You're going to sustain some damage. School and work obviously need to be my top priorities. Oh, wait. Need to scale it down a little bit on everything besides work and school. School and work obviously need to be my top priorities because they're my source of education, not liberal arts BS. And income, right? No, you got your priorities right. Again, I don't know if it's ego or just the notion that I can die tomorrow that won't let me take the foot off the gas or at least ease up on it. I will admit, weed does help me chill the F out, but I'll quickly feel guilty for indulging in a vice when I could be living life. Yeah, I'm not exactly against you smoking the occasional doobie right here now, man. We'll get to it. Again, I kind of know the answer to my issue, but I would like your older, wiser thoughts on the subject. Also, if I go $60,000 worth of debt for a pickup truck, will it make my pee bigger? Yes, it will, but you have to put truck nuts on it. All right, and you can only, if you really want the full effect, you can only date single moms. All right, so get rid of your well endowed girlfriend and find yourself a single mom. Uh, so I said, well, usually the personality comes from some kind of past event or environment. Were you poor growing up? Were you kept at home a lot? Any theories as to why you are this way? Or is it simply that you are going to die? You're suffering in terms of health, mental, social life, trying to see if there are any real problems you're facing, demographics, age. Okay, so you are jacked. Unfortunately, you're only 5'11". You do not qualify, sir. I'm sorry, it's over. Just throw in the towel. Great social life between surfing, jujitsu, and family. Great. Was not poor, middle class, divorce, your family, not you. Yelling, dad strict. High standards. Okay, that's a good dad you got. Health issues, blood work done, showed that I had some elevated liver enzymes, bilirubin and AST. Currently a process of the doctor to see what's going on. Feel run down quite often. That's too much physical exit training landscape. Okay, yeah. Look, I don't think your liver is in trouble. I think it's the symptom. Hopefully it's not a secondary issue that you actually have indeed liver problems, but I'm gonna bet, the house this is related to you cortisol levels, you not getting enough sleep, too much stress, and all that other stuff. So, all right, let's let's go through this. Um, let's talk about the overall strategy and why you're doing it wrong. And maybe if we understand it this way, um, using your own logic against you, you'll be like, "Oh my god, I see what I'm doing wrong," and you'll stop. Right? The goal in life is to maximize your enjoyment. Now, that enjoyment can become in the form of vice and hedonism. It could come in the form of love, but especially younger people, it could come in the form of accomplishment and achievement, and that's kind of what you do. And me and the Rolos and other types of people in the world, where in part it's to become stable and make money so we could go do things and have the freedom to do it. But there's also value and worth. We get enjoyment or utility out of achieving things, out of hard work. Like I put in the walk-in closet. I feel very proud of myself. I get more of a hit off of that or finishing a book, writing one, not reading one. Read books. Than I do any kind of necessarily hike or motorcycle ride, something that's pure enjoyment. All right. That's fine. However, it is you derive satisfaction out of life, that's good. Right. And you are 100% correct that it just seems, I was asking, like, if you came from a back, it doesn't seem like there's any kind of odd background. So the number one motivating force in your life is death, which should be everyone's number one motivating force in life. But most people are inferior. Most people think they're going to live forever and, they do what they do with their life. So you are motivated by death, which is good. And your first step of logic was, I got to make it count. And so you're correct, and you should put in a full effort, maybe even 120%, but that has to be short term. So it doesn't sacrifice your health. Where you were short-sighted is you don't realize that this pursuit at an obsessive level shortens your life expectancy. And forget shortened life expectancy. If you all of a sudden start getting liver problems and your organs start to go and you crack, now you can't enjoy life anymore. And so what you need to do is you need to not only, as part of you're an electrical engineer, right? Math, enjoyment is not equal to, what would it be? A rate or a velocity. It is the rate times the amount of time. It is velocity times the amount of time. And you want to maximize the distance, I would say, for lack of a better physical formula. If you want to measure life satisfaction in terms of how far you go, or Yeah, let's just go on the timeline here. Speed, your velocity times time. You need to extend the amount of time you have. You're only focusing on the rate. You're trying to go 800 miles an hour when your car, your plane only goes 700. Okay, you go 800 for a little bit, but if you keep that up, your plane will not be able to go 700 at cruising speed anymore. You're going to be dropping down to 0 if it's bad. And for how long? And all of a sudden, you're not maximizing your time. So the ideal situation is to find out the cruising speed you could go, the max speed you could go for that will also increase the amount of time. And the way you increase your amount of time is you take care of your biological health. And so you're going to have to give something else up so that you achieve your goal. You're not lessening. You're not backing off. You're not failing. You are improving and doing better. You're achieving more and backing off on the rate so you get more distance. No different than, let's go back to a car and distance example. Yes, you can go, if your goal is to go the furthest amount of distance, you don't drive a car at 100 miles an hour because your fuel efficiency drops off exponentially because of the wind resistance. This we do especially in motorcycle riding. I know a guy, he likes going 90 miles an hour, and I beat him every time to the distance, especially if we have multiple fuel stops, because my fuel efficiency is nowhere near as low as it. I don't know, but he had to keep stopping for fuel. Now, fine, he's going faster than me, but he's got a pull over. He's got a fuel up. Meanwhile, I'm doing 75, 70. Maybe I drag off a semi-truck or something to keep the fuel. It's just little tricks I can. But the point is, I'm going to get to the destination before he will, even though he's going faster, because he needs to constantly pull over and get fuel. It's the same thing you're doing. You're not maximizing your life. You are shortening your life expectancy. Also, what you really got to worry, maybe not now, but what you really got to worry about, let's say you stroke out. You keep going like this and you're 47 and you get a stroke because of blood pressure or enzymes or whatever else. Well, there is 30 years of your life gone. So you need to reevaluate your strategy here. And instead of focusing on the throttle, focus on what you're doing to your body in the process and saying, okay, I got to back off the throttle. I got to take time for some downtime. And look, you work out, right? You work out, you let your muscles recover. You don't constantly work out, or maybe you do. All right. But you need to back off because that is going to help you achieve your goal more, and you will experience and enjoy more in life. You will achieve more in life by backing down on the rate and expanding the amount of time. And so that, now I know that's hard, especially if you come out of high school and you hit the afterburners, you go nonstop. I've talked about how it's like firing a Gatling gun for years on end, and all you know how to do is fire the Gatling gun. Meanwhile, all the trees and foliage and everything is destroyed in front of you, and there's no bullets left. You're just going click, 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 click. Oh yeah, no, you got to let go of that and figure out something to do. So that's the. So I understand out of having your brain cemented into these habits. Fine, but you have to now use your frontal cortex and override your back cortex or behind brain or whatever the hell they call it, and say, I am not going to achieve my goal if I keep doing it this way. All right? Think about that. Every time you think, well, what's my incentive, right? Yes, my incentive to achieve everything is death. But what's my incentive to, like, hey, back off, stroke, being paralyzed, being a vegetable because you didn't back off. So imagine that, sitting in a wheelchair, crapping your pants because you didn't back off. So now it comes into tangible, actionable items. So hopefully that gives you the incentive to moderate, right? Hey, Cap, you love getting drunk. It was great. You have to moderate. Oh, no, I want to go full throttle, which I do in everything. That doesn't work in Vice. It doesn't work that way. So now that you got a overall philosophy that maybe tweaks it a little bit and puts things into perspective, now you have the incentive. So now what can we do here? So I came up with a couple ideas. Why the hell do I have? Oh, that's what it is. All right. So the first thing to do to change your psychology is understand it's going to be a job. And uh Apex Mindset, not Ben. What the hell is his name? Why can't I remember him? I think it's Ben. Apex Mindset, he talks about your brain is conditioned for 2 weeks. Like if you're going to make a change, you have to like quit drinking for 2 weeks or quit doing drugs for 2 weeks, change your behavior for 2 weeks. All right. So it is going to be a job, at least at the beginning, of you detoxing or coming out of this mindset. Paul Benjamin, there you go. And you know what? You may want to talk to him. He would not be the worst guy to hit up and ask about, okay, what do I do to detransition from this mania, this obsession, to a more measured and balanced approach? So I would go talk to him. But the larger point is, it's going to be a job. You're going to have to do things that you normally wouldn't do, and you're going to have to do it for a while, but then it should become second nature, and your neurochemistry should probably adapt and change. And then so first, and these are just things to do, okay? First, your diet. I'm sure your diet is spectacular, but take a look at your diet to figure out how you can be more calm. Everything from drinking calming tea, maybe having a cocktail. I'm even okay if you have a doobie every once in a while. Or maybe you don't want to smoke the pot, but maybe take an edible to calm down. Elkins swears by that. All right. Now, I wouldn't immediately go to the drugs, but I think you could have yourself a cocktail. All right. Another thing is kind of a daily, it's just so boring, mundane crap that you hear on the internet anywhere. You got a calm down time. Like you have a hard stop at 10:30. Now, maybe you're on a date or maybe there's something unique going on. But otherwise, if there's nothing else going on, you got a hard stop at 11 p.m. and or at midnight. Whatever your hard stop is, you set it. All right. I am not doing anything at midnight. I'm going to go to bed at midnight. So your downtime starts at 10:30. And 10:30, you have yourself a cocktail, or you sit down, or you not do anything, at least an hour, just to get this routine going again. All right. So you have diet, you're introducing, changing whatever it is. Maybe there's calming nutrition. I'm sure you can look it up. Then there's like, nope, we're chilling the F out. I'm going to have some downtime. I'm going to relax. I remember, pot calling the kettle black. I get back from a shift, slam a Mountain Dew, go right to sleep because it had calories. And just that tired. And just work, gurgle, 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 out. What? Wake up again and go. All right. Now, morning, you're going to have to get up at whatever time maximize you sleep. All right. But you need down time, at least 30 minutes, if not a full hour. I know that's a significant percentage of your time. All right. Then you're going to have less activity. And that means you're going to have to come up with a priority. And one of these things is going to have to go. I forgot what you mentioned. Obviously, it's not school. I would really try to find something different than landscaping. All right. Because landscaping, you can't study. Have you thought about becoming a security guard? Some kind of sit down study type of shift. All right. Another thing you could consider doing, you don't have to go to school full time. Why don't you amortize it a little bit? Why don't you spread it out? If I were to do it all over again, I would have gone to school. I would take extra classes. I ended up graduating 6 months early because I hated school so much. I have nightmares to this day that I'm still in school. I'm like, oh my God, I wasted my life. There's no rush. Look, we're not raising a bunch of hardworking young men and women. It's not like they're not going to be desperate for electrical engineers in 3 years as opposed to 2. So why don't you back off on the classes a little bit? All right. Why don't you just take it easy on the classes? I try and find a sit down job. You're still getting your exercise, surfing, going to the gym and jujitsu. All right. But I would try to work smarter. Get rid of the landscaping job so that you could replace it with a desk job of some kind where you could sit and study. Doesn't have to be that much, but you're going to save a lot of time there. So instead of landscaping and then studying, you are studying and working of some kind. That's more time management than anything else. But you got to go through and say, what is mission critical? School, work. You can amortize out school, spread it out a little bit. Change your type of work. I don't know, jiu-jitsu, do you have to compete? Do you have to right now? Can you wait? I saw you're a blue belt. That's very impressive. But do you have to compete? Maybe just go there for camaraderie and back off. I know it's competitive, but I don't think you need competition right now. That's added stress. You got to cut weight, weigh in, all that. That's like 3 times the amount of work than just going and sparring and rolling around. Why don't you also back off on the jiu-jitsu and just spar to maintain your skill level? You don't have to become purple. All right, just back off a little bit. Surfing, that's okay, fine, whatever. Your girlfriend looks nice. If she's a good girl, why don't you just chill out a little bit and spend time with her? Not a lot. Shut up. But go just relax. Go sit and do nothing. Watch a movie. And then another thing I would do is you are going to force yourself to have a Sabbath. Now that may not be possible, but you really ought to have one day a week, Sunday, ideally, if it works that way, where you don't do anything. You don't work. You don't do jujitsu. You don't surf. And maybe this is where you spend time with the girlfriend. You have a day where you do nothing. All right. Here, that is the pot calling the kettle black. I'm like, oh yeah, I got nothing. I cleaned out my to-do list. I'm like, I could add a couple more anchors to the closet. I could get some caps for the outdoor chairs. I could go to the gym. I could hike 10 miles. No. Sit your ass down and do absolutely nothing. And maybe not every week. That's a bit much. Okay? That's 1/7 of your labor. I got that. But once every other week, absolutely. Once every other week, you got a day you don't do anything. And on that day you don't do anything, what I would say is you have whatever the hell you want to eat. You're burning through so many calories of energy. Like if you want to have an ice cream, go have an ice cream. You want to have yourself a big bottle of booze, go have a big bottle of booze. The hangover will probably F you up the next day. Maybe have some booze. You want to smoke a doobie, you go smoke a doobie. You want to have a big ass steak, go have a big ass steak. You do whatever you want on that day. And not so much because like your body needs some kind of vice, but your brain and your body need to chill the F out and relax and calm down. And like everything else on this list I've given you, you have to do it. Write it down. Make sure you do it. This is not write it down. This is not like my finance classes I offer through Teachable where people take them, but they don't do them. Or even worse, like Modern Life Dating John, people will sign up for his course, but they won't even take it. They'll buy the book, they won't read it. They'll buy the book, they'll read it, but they won't do what's in it. You need to write this down and you need to affect that in your life immediately, starting today. Might require a little shuffling of the schedules. Might require finishing off this semester of school and then scaling back a little bit. All right. But immediately you can say, no, I'm taking off Sundays. That's it. No, I'm not working. Someone calls up, hey, we need you. No. Hey, do you want to go into the competition? No. And I would say on your vice day, like you're watching movies or you're going for slow walks, play video games. And what I'd also strongly recommend you do is maybe you look into meditation. Now there's a billion ways to do it. But what I've found works for me, not that I'm a big meditator guy, is I just got some wind chimes. I set it up on the soffits, and then I put a chair there and I sit and I relax. Now I make it about 5 to 10 minutes. But you may just want to like read some comic books, You could actually do real meditation. You get put on the headphones and listen to the rain and the storm clouds or crickets chirping. You go walk through the neighborhood while listening to relaxing music or noises or sounds. Noise means a pejorative. But I would strongly recommend, and I link down to it below, when you get into this dealing with the inner self, wrestling, not to sound too wooey, wowie, woo, but it's not even inner demons, just wrestling with who you were in the past. And as your environment changes, it necessitates that you get a different rewiring and different philosophical operating system to handle that new reality so it's effective. Go get the Way of Monkey book and read the Way of Monkey book. I have linked to it below. It is the best modern day book on Stoicism, full stop. Not because TFM is a colleague or a friend, but because he wrote that good of a book. For those of you out there wrestling with psychological demons and stress, please go get that and read it. And implement what is in the book. But whether it's that book or wind chimes or something else, or guided meditation, listening to headphones or something like that, you need something where you sit, you don't think, and you turn off your brain. Drugs help. Can't be used booze for, like, gurgle, gurgle, gurgle. Oh, raindrops keep falling on my head. So whatever it is you do, some form of meditation and relaxing on your day off that you don't do. So let's take a look what we had. Diet, less activity, amortizing things like your degree, namely, different type of job, a forced Sabbath, downtime at night, a bit of vice here or there, reprioritizing your list, meditations or relaxation, some kind of calming down. If you want, read the Way of Monkey book. And then finally, one final philosophical thing to consider here. Death is the incentive. So that prompts you into action and velocity. Going too fast will burn you out, shorten your time. So you have to go an optimal speed to maximize the time that you have. But let us talk about your existence and not your like current state of mind. I mean, like when you go through a day, what does it feel like? And I remember this. This is why I almost believe in escapism a little bit. But all the human experience is your brain taking in all the stimuli, both external and psychological and ethereal, and you having an experience. Sometimes it's pleasurable, sometimes it's painful. Sometimes it's not stressful, sometimes it's blissful, sometimes it's unconscious. How do you feel when you're doing all this stuff? I know you feel accomplished. I know you probably get an endorphin hit and a reward at the end of all this, but how does it feel the entire time? There was one time I went the worst time in my life. It was constant pain. Constant pain. And then a piece of me said, this is not worth it. Not in a sense that I was going to self-delete, not in that sense, but like, this is misery. This is not worth it. And this was on top of going through college and the worthless 20s and all this stress with boomer bosses and banking and all this other hellish nightmarish of an existence. And I realized that is human life, is how you feel over the course of your life. And a lot of this went into Enjoy the Decline and also Sanity is the Future of Wealth, where not only feeling miserable in the darkest of times, but now I got to deal with the parasites of society and the stupid people, namely Democrats and Normoconformies and inferiors. People driving slow on it, people saying I owe them money because they're too lazy to get off their fat ass and get a job, and somehow are oppressed because of a way they were born or some disease they claim to have that they don't. Just the lying to my face, angering me, making me angry and more mad. And I just stopped watching the news, and I learned to see the pain and misery in other people, particularly leftists or normies, conformies, and inferiors, that type of thing. So, okay, fine, there's this welfare bum panhandling, and you may get angry and upset about that, but wait. I am now ruining my life experience by letting admittedly scumbags, parasites, evil, vile people of the planet ruin my life. And so it was very important that I found not enough an excuse, but like, okay, well, wait a minute. What is their life like? And then you realize, oh, they're living in a tent. They're on drugs. They're miserable. This is why I do find joy and happiness and contentment in bad people suffering. But more importantly than that, as a I guess a byproduct or a side consequence, I don't get worked up about it anymore. The slow moron driving in the street, I I I don't get angry anymore. I say, "Wow, what's it like that person got to go to the post office? What's that like for that person to do groceries?" Like everything has got to be a struggle for that person. That is great their life is so miserable. And then I don't get angry anymore. I certainly don't watch the news. Oh my God, the Democrats advocated taking more money from hardworking people. No kidding, really. Oh well, sucks to be them because you could give them all the money in the world, they'll still be poor. Meanwhile, I have my sanity and I have good minimalism in finances. And once you remove these stressors from your life and you don't let bad things bother you anymore, however you get to that point, your life is more enjoyable because that's all your life is your brain interpreting the external stimuli, whatever form it may be, to have your experience and your mood. And while mine would be more oriented from survival and politics and parasitism and contempt and rage, yours is from the physical and mental stress you're putting on your body. And I can't imagine that is a fun experience or an enjoyable mood or state you are constantly pickling your brain in. And so after going through the dark times, I said, I can't let, and I've said this before, I can't have the last third of my life be as miserable as the first 2/3 because then you're dead and then you will have wasted your life. And I don't think I mean, you're not, you got 2/3 of your life ahead of you. I'm old. Do you want the remaining 2/3 of your life to be this constant state of stress and maybe not misery? I mean, there's an upside. You got all this production you're achieving and accomplishing, but I don't think you're happy. You're not miserable either. I'd gonna guess you're sometimes on a high, like, man, I'm kicking so much ass. I've been there, and especially with my house and writing books. Yeah, I've been there too. But then it's like, stop. Okay, man, this is stressful. This is miserable. Do you want the remaining 2/3 of your life to be like that? And if you don't, then you need to back off and remove the stress. And so there's nothing but every reason in the world for you to back off and slow down, not only because it'll extend your life expectancy and your ability to go farther and achieve more things, it will also make your current existence, your current mental state, your mood from here and until you die, hopefully, better and more enjoyable and less painful. Not to say there shouldn't be pain. I mean, having a guy's foot in your face doing jujitsu, okay, yeah. Not that studying electronics and electricity is like super rewarding, but you'll get your hit on that. But you should get to the point, especially after school. Right now, I don't have to have that stress anymore in my life. I'll still work hard, but I'm not going to be stressing myself and burning myself out. And so that's the other thing you should be aiming for is that mental state where your baseline mood is an enjoyable one and not one of constant stress. So there you go. All right. Link below is the Way of Monkey book. Let's go see if we got any super chats here. T-Rash in the house. That's it. No super chats. All right. See you guys later. Toodles.